Eric Saunders was a successful up-and-coming motocross racer, but in 2010, he suffered a crash that left him paralyzed and lost the use of both legs. Fortunately, racing is simply a competition between people to determine who is the fastest, and he made his way back into the racing world through sprint cars despite his condition. He has become an advocate of innovation in the medical industry regarding paralysis, with the goal of improving a paraplegic's way of life. Today, we will learn about how his wreck changed his life and what has come after it. Welcome to the Cutting Edge Garage Podcast.
We're here with Eric Saunders, and Eric, you're with Eric Saunders Racing, is that correct?
That is correct.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Eric. Your dad is Irish, which is a contact that we've made at one of the trade shows, and he's been very instrumental in helping us navigate through some of the racing promotions that we've done. And now I'm having the opportunity to meet you through him, but I don't know near as much about you as I do your dad. So tell us a little bit about Eric and what you do, what kind of racing and that kind of thing.
Well, I started racing when I was about 4 years old. I started racing motocross. Raced all the amateur nationals, moved up pro when I turned 17. And then a day before my 18th birthday, I ended up getting paralyzed from the chest down. And then 2012 area is when I actually moved over to four wheels. I got into mini sprint and it just kind of took off there, running sprint cars now. My he's been at Hoosier for almost 40 years now. And it's just, being involved with Hoosier, it definitely has helped us a ton. And we race cars.
That's awesome. So, if you don't mind, can we talk about the accident for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how much of a challenge is it or was it a challenge at all to go through the accident and then come out of that and say, yes, I want to continue to race? Was there a lot of emotion going, from the outcome of the accident to, how we move forward?
Yeah, I think, the toughest part of the whole thing was learning everything over. I've used the motocross stuff with, the throttle and the clutch and everything. So I was very familiar with that. Then we had to find the right thing that we needed to do for the steering wheel. So they made a steering wheel at first it was like a McDonald's arch, which to me it was, why are we reinventing the steering wheel? So once we got the steering wheel down with the throttle and the brake and everything, I just adapt to it, and took a while to really get it under control. But once I got my first win, I just was like, you know what? There's everything that I'm doing is the same that everybody else is doing. I'm using my hands instead. And there was somebody that told me, they said, you got to think about this. They said, with you using your hands, that's all throttle control. And they said, you can pick a needle up with your fingers. You can't pick a needle up with your feet. And I was like, never thought of it that way, And so it's helped me a ton with throttle control and, the response and just everything, But like I said, I've been doing this forever, using my hands, But it took some time. But once I got it down, it was definitely a lot easier.
A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to interview Sarah Price, and she was talking about the differences from going from motocross into the Baja trucks, and what that difference was. Being able to use her body weight and things like that on the bike versus not being able to do that in the truck, and two wheels versus four wheels. So you're going from that two wheel to four wheels, and kind of shifting on how you actually control the vehicle. So how long did it take you to get proficient?
It's still, I'm feeling everything through the race car through my hands. So it's like a lot of people feel it in their butt, and with me being paralyzed, I can't feel that. So I'll feel different things with the car with, getting wheel spin just from the steering wheel, the way that my hands move on my steering wheel. And I kind of relay all this to my brother, and then he helps dial the car in, and he's very, very good, with doing that.
That's what your dad was saying. He's an awesome chassis guy from what your dad said.
Absolutely. He's phenomenal, honestly.
Now, are you getting the sensation of, when you're loose or when you're tight, or is that all coming through the hands and the upper body? How is?
A lot of it's with the cars. You'll feel the car kind of, if it gets tight, it will start driving up the racetrack. You can't really stay down low. It just pushes like a dump truck almost
Okay.
when it's tight. And then, being loose is just basically when you're wanting to loop out, coming through the corner. But it's taken time to really learn that, with coming from motocross and getting that feeling. It's a lot of people they can't relay it right away. And then it's like, okay, once you explain it that way, you'll be able to feel it, or you'll be able to see it, and that's with my brother too. He can just watch the car and be like, oh, the car's tight. Oh, the car's loose, so it really helps, and it benefits that way too.
And your brother is racing as well, or is he just doing the
Correct.
chassis?
He is racing too, and so it's now that with him racing too, so he knows what to do with the car, and it's just it helps a ton. When he has that feedback, like if he's like, oh well, this is what it felt like for me, this is what it feels like for you, like we just relay messages, and that's what we really just get the chassis stuff down and everything. It makes the driving that much easier.
You guys race each other?
Yeah, we do.
So he has a vested interest in making sure that your chassis is not quite as good as his.
Yeah, we have. But see, last year he drove for a guy, and he's just kind of was like, man, I enjoyed it. It was a great experience, but he's like, I can't drive for somebody. He's like, because then you lose control of how you set up the car, and they don't want you to touch anything, and it's kind of comes down to that. But Garrett said, let's look at doing our own deal, and he got my dad involved with it, and we ended up getting our own cars and running sprint cars now. So it's I definitely feel that sometimes. It's like, oh, how's my car? Well, it's good. It's good. No, it's So it's struggle, but it's all right. It's a brother. It's racing. That's the way that I look at it.
Well, I could see my boys now. I guarantee you that, if Jesse was racing and Thomas was setting up his chassis, it would be something to prevent him from winning. I guarantee you. There would be even no brotherly love there until the end of the race. I guarantee it.
You're right. Just put him out to lunch. Just let him go.
That's it. That's it. Sucks to be you, brother. I'm taking the victory lap on this one. It would be that kind of thing.
Awesome.
So, what else do you do besides racing?
I've been heavily involved with the medical side of everything, with living with paralysis. It's a struggle, people are all about, oh, we got to get these people walking again, and that's the thing that I just don't, I know that, probably not in my time, in my life, I'll ever see somebody, completely be fine with walking, because I don't see it with, we got technology out there, but I'm more focused about, the bowel, the bladder, and everything like that. We've are working on coming out with catheters, and there's a couple different things that I want to do. I'm not going to say too much just because, it's stuff that I really want to focus on, and I don't really want to give like all my ideas away,
Right.
But I think that, I myself personally can make a huge difference. I got connected with the right people when I was living down in Louisville for a while with this lady, and she designed the neonatal premature baby diapers. She was the first one to ever design them, and she was helping me out. Like, I was kind of frustrated because I was get urinary tract infections, being paralyzed, with cathing and everything. So I ended up talking to her, and she's like, well, what do you do, with this? What do you do with that? And we started working together on different projects, and I got to meet a lot of people, and I see that a lot of people they're struggling with the same kind of things that I'm going through. And I think being able to live with paralysis is one thing, but if you can make something better than that's already out there, because everybody thinks that they have the most innovating product out there on the line, and it's sadly I don't think we're there, because there's these big corporate companies that, they're not worried about making a better product. They're gonna keep their price down as much as they can, and even if it costs more money, like I don't know. There's a lot of things that I've looked at, and I'm just like, that they could make something way better, but they don't want to, and it's sad.
Yeah,
but,
they're focused on the profit and not the solution.
Absolutely, 100%. And it,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I take it. I'm very passionate about what I'm doing, and I want to get the right people involved with it because I believe in it. You know, and I think once people see what I'm doing, what I'm working on, I know other people will be, you know, they'll want to be involved with it. I've had, you know, urologists tell me that, hey, that's not going to work. Well, no, it's not going to work because it's going to take money away from you because I won't have to come see you all the time, you know, because I
Right.
won't have infections, I won't have this, I won't have these issues. But it's just it's sad that, you know, some people don't believe in something. You know, if somebody else, like I tell people all the time, you can't be scared to step out of, you know, your comfort zone to do something, to start something, because if you fail, you fail. It's, you know, you're the one that has to go to sleep at night. It's not them. It doesn't matter what those people feel. You know, it's as long as you can say, hey, look, at least I tried something, and if it fails or if it flops or whatever, you know, you have to deal with those consequences. It's not. That's why I say what people say. It doesn't really affect me. You know what they think of what I'm doing, because it's what I want to do. You know, I have a passion for it, and I want to make somebody else's, you know, daily life a lot better in the situation.
Yeah. Everybody that's ever done something truly great has been told that's not possible.
Absolutely.
And they just don't let that get in the way, and that's a very powerful message that you have, and I have the utmost respect for you. One of these days, when you're further along, you got to share with me what these great ideas are. Now you have my mind, going a million miles a minute.
Yeah.
One of the podcasts that I listen to is the Tony Robbins podcast, and the lady, or technically it would be a guy, but she had a sex change, so now I guess it's a lady. Whoever the person that invented Sirius XM, it was a guest on that podcast, and first she was talking about the challenges of actually bringing Sirius XM to the mainstream. And of course, everybody told her it wasn't possible, it wasn't going to work. So she had to go out and she built a prototype and to prove that it could actually work. Then had to go, she couldn't find funding. So then she had to, find some alternative ways to find funding to build what is now Sirius XM, which, between Sirius XM and whatever the other satellite that, company that, radio company that merged, she sold the company for, God knows how much money, ridiculous amount of money. Later on, her daughter developed a some kind of rare heart condition, and it's something that affects less than 1% of the population, and because of that, nobody's investing any money in fixing that problem. And she set about fixing that problem, and when the doctors told her you can't do that, she went and hired doctors, and
Right.
she learned how to, she was an electrical engineer, or he was an electrical engineer, and, changed disciplines and became, took a different, I forget exactly what discipline in engineering to set about, fixing or at least developing a medication that would prolong the life of people suffering from that disease. And her daughter's still alive. She's she has grandkids now, and so there's a ton of different things that people can do when they set their mind to it, and it's awesome to see that in you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's, like I said, though, I'll kind of share this with you, though, because we've been working with a guy in the UK, which the UK, I don't know if the UK, their medical side of everything is like 10 years ahead of what the US is, which is, it's crazy. But the guy that we've been working with, he's got this product. So this is kind of, it sounds like it's going to be like, this is, he's got a patent on it and everything. And it's called a button. What it does is this button goes inside of your bladder. And so when my bladder will get full, it'll send a notification to my cell phone like, bing, hey, time to go to the bathroom. And that's, to me, that will be the biggest game changer in the medical side, if people knew how many people struggle with urinary tract infections, they would be amazed. They would be absolutely amazed, and I think that it's just stuff like that, like something so small, something so simple that's nothing major, And to me, I say it's nothing major, but I mean it's something so it's common sense, And the bad thing about it nowadays is I don't think people have common sense anymore. And I know it's free, but they just don't have it, or they don't let their mind be creative enough to think of something like that. And again, like I said, though, it takes somebody like myself that's living with the situation to think about what can I do to make this better? How can I improve my daily life with something better than what I'm using now? And that's what it takes. But it's just I feel like it's not evolved a lot lately. Um, but I mean, like I said, I feel like we're so new to, paralysis. I mean, it's been around forever, but it's like, they haven't really figured a way to make a daily living better.
Right. Yeah, it's like you find something that's good enough and stop.
Yep.
And
That's where I think it is, honestly.
yeah. Well, how long have you been on this crusade?
Oh, it's probably been about 6 months now. I mean, and again, the way that it works is, I mean, you know how business is. You're emailing back and forth, and stuff nowadays it moves so slowly because these big companies, they don't care about working with the small little mom and pop deal. But it's once you get hooked up with the right people, you can really make stuff happen. And sometimes it's as easy as picking up the phone and like, hey, let's get this done right now. But I think that there's going to be a lot of hoops that we're going to have to go through to get this done. But it's once I find the right people in the U.S. that I want to work with, it's the same thing. I mean, like I say, everything that we get nowadays it's made in China. You think about it, like the medical side of stuff, and then I'm not a big like okay the COVID deal, but I'm so shocked that they're still like, oh well, yeah, they had COVID come out of China. Well, and yet they still use all these Chinese, manufactured medical products, and to me that's crazy. It's no different than my dad. The Hoosier tires, they're made in the U.S. Well, none of these medical companies not very many of them want to make their products here in the U.S. because why? It's going to cost more money, and they don't have those margins that they can make. And sadly, that's the way that I look at it. But that it is what it is. But I'm like, if they wanted to make change, they would bring more jobs to the U.S. if they did make all the stuff here, in the U.S. It'd be huge, And not only that, how cool would it be to say, hey, yeah, my medical supplies is actually made here in the United States. That makes me feel pretty secure, But it is what it is, And I don't know. It just kind of just wonder about things like that.
It's amazing what we buy from China. I was I want to say it was fish, catfish or something that I was buying or tilapia and my wife told me, make sure that's coming from the US and I'm like, where the hell else would it be coming from? And she said China and I'm like, wait a minute, we're buying catfish from China? Are you kidding me?
Right.
Seriously. And and she was talking about the catfish farms and how nasty they are and unregulated compared to, like the catfish farms that we have here in the U.S. And, yeah, so I get it for sure.
It's crazy. I mean, and people don't think about that kind of stuff, I think people just, they don't look at that side of everything.
Well, there's certainly enough markup in medical products that they could probably do the manufacturing here because they're not bashful with the price tag.
No, and like I said, the FDA, they have to regulate all that. Well, how is the FDA regulating something over in China? How does that work? I don't feel like it's regulated to the T. I think they just kind of let it go, and you just don't know. You don't know what those manufacturing facilities are like over there. You just have no idea. And how can the FDA regulate every single product? So I think having stuff made in the U.S. It changed a lot of the medical side of things with the field. but that's just my opinion.
So you have a two-pronged goal. One is to increase the quality of life for people suffering from paralysis, and
Absolutely.
making sure that those solutions are made here in the U.S.
That would be my goal. But again, when you have, there's some big Cardinal Health. There's all these medical. Um, they're just distributors, really. I mean, they're small deals. Some of them are huge. They're big corporate. But I don't know. I mean, you just don't know. And again, like I said, though, everybody says that they have the most innovating product, but I don't I don't see anything changing. I don't see a lot of change, in these products. When I've used almost all of them, and it doesn't, to me, like I see all these people on Facebook on these threads where they're just talking about, I got an infection. What do I have to do for it? And it's like all these poor people, and people die from UTIs all the time, and that's what people don't understand is you can get how many UTIs and then you're done. I mean, it shuts down your kidneys, then you're done. So I feel like I want to be the person that changes the way people look at it, and I wish that with corporates or corporations like that, I just feel they don't have the right people in line, because it's not those people that are making those judgment calls. They don't care. I mean, they're the salespeople that are. I got to make money. I don't have to make a better product. I just have to make money.
Right, right. Yeah, even if you don't die from the UTI, the pain sucks.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I had one a few years ago, and man, I'm if I never have another one for the rest of my life, I'll be a happy guy for sure.
Right, right, and I mean, that's the little thing. I mean, that's just a UTI, and then you got to think about, well, bed sores or pressure sores or whatever. There's things that people don't even think about with people with spinal cords. I mean, it there's just so many consequences that they have to go through. I mean, I've had sores, I've had all kinds of stuff, burns, I've had all. I mean, it takes twice to three times as long. I've had a broken leg, honestly, and I found that out. We're down
How'd
in
you break
Daytona.
your leg?
I I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. I noticed that I was having more spasms than normal, and so I went to the hospital back here in South Bend, and I was like, I'm more worried about blood clots, because they say blood clots can be a cause or that can happen with people with spinal cord injury. So I was like, I go there, I'm like, just make sure that I don't have a blood clot. And they're like, oh, nope, you don't have blood clot, and I don't see anything wrong. Well, I go down to Daytona. I mean, I flew down to Daytona the very next day, and I'm like, man, I'm having spasms really, really bad. I said, Dad, there's something going on. So I go to the hospital there, and I get X-rays done. They draw blood, and I see the doctor, and I sat there for probably 3 hours waiting to talk to this doctor. And this, I talked to him for maybe a minute, and he's like, "Yep, your foot's definitely broke." And I was like, "Oh, cool, great, man." And he's like, "How are you so positive?" I said, "It's a broken leg, dude." I said, "It's not blood clots." I said, "I'd rather have a broken bone than blood clots any day of the week." He's like, "I love how positive you are," but I said, "You got to look at the bright side of everything. You can't dwell on just the small little negative things like that."
That's you know, being someone that doesn't suffer from paralysis, that's one of those things that you really don't think about is all the additional challenges that you go through. And it when you said that, it didn't never dawned on me until you made that comment that you could actually, because there's no feeling there, you can break the leg and not even know, that something's wrong.
Right.
That's crazy.
It is.
Well, I definitely wish you luck in your ventures, and as committed and as driven as you are, I'm sure that you're going to find success in accomplishing your goals without a doubt. Returning to racing just for a second, let me ask you a question. How was your return to racing? How was that? How were you received by your fellow racers, and what kind of nerves or stage fright did you go through, if any?
Yeah, I don't know. It was something crazy with the way that everybody looked at me, they just said, "Oh, there's no way this dude's gonna do any good." Well, it took, I'm not gonna lie, it took probably 3 years to really get everything under my belt, like to feel comfortable enough. And then once I started running up front, I struggled for like the first year. I was like, "Why am I even doing this? Why am I even doing this?" I wasn't doing good. I was running my first race. I got lapped, but I was just trying to get used to feeling everything, getting comfortable with the steering. And once I got the right steering package and everything, then I realized that, I'm not going to get crossed up with my hands. So I have like probably one of the quickest racks in the country that they built for me. So it's basically, you don't have to turn your hands at all, like the steering wheel at all, to have the front wheels turn. So once I got that down, it was kind of, I just adapted to it. And once I started running up front, these guys were like, "Okay, he came here to race," and like I said, I think they like, I don't know, they think it's different. I'm sure, got somebody in a wheelchair but again, to me, if you watch me from racing, you don't know that, I'm paralyzed or whatever. So, I want to just show people, like, not really prove, because just show people that, hey, look, just because something happens in your life, you struggle with something, you can't give up on it. You got to keep moving forward. Like I said, with anything that you do in life, and I've just always stuck to that. And I've been very fortunate with the people that I know, to have good equipment, and the resources to be able to help us out.
Yeah, that's the powerful part of your message is that, finding a way forward, not letting obstacles get in the way, not giving up just because it, may seem like the easy thing to do in a moment. And that I think is something that a lot of people can learn from. That's something that I hope that a lot of people will learn from is the journey that we all take in life sometimes is met with major challenges, disasters, whatever the case may be. And yet we have to find a way forward. We have to find a way to continue and not let that define who we are. It's awesome to meet you and to hear what you have to say about that.
Absolutely.
So what's it like racing for Tony Stewart?
It's been awesome. I mean, especially with the motocross side of it. I came from motocross, and once I got hurt, like, Tony was, he's like, "No, there's no way that I can do that." But honestly, this was my goal. So, I wanted to go pro. I went professional when I was 17, like I said. But I said this back when I was 14 years old during like news interviews. I said, like, when I turned, I would say, like, when I turned about 18, I want to get into four wheels because, like I said, everybody thought we were crazy because we were racing motorcycles, or I was racing motorcycles, and my dad was working at Hoosier, and I don't want to say he's like a head honcho there, but he's definitely up the ladder, and he could have had any kind of opportunity that we wanted to in a race car, with all the people that he knows, to get us into good equipment. And I think now, with me getting paralyzed, it kind of just sped that process up even more. But sadly, I don't want to say this and like kind of it's sadly that I think a lot of people don't have the resource or the technology to put hand controls in a lot of vehicles or race cars or whatever. So they don't get the opportunities. Like I said, though, like I've had Tony behind me forever though, so he's helped out a ton, and it's just, yeah, he's actually. So in 2 weeks, well, actually, yeah, 2 weeks, he's going to come here and race at Plymouth. And I think we're going to put him in Garrett's car because I think they're going to put up $2,000 to win the micro class. So I know that I'll be racing against him, and there's going to be a lot of other people that's going to be racing against him too. So it's, again, like I say, how often do you get a race against Tony Stewart?
Well, you definitely have to set the car up, at a disadvantage for him because he has such a big advantage with the racing experience. I'm thinking you got to take advantage of that if he's racing your brother's car, for sure.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So what's your craziest quote unquote Days of Thunder type race that you've had? Dangers on the track, that kind of thing.
Well, I had a deal where I was going in turn 1 and 2, and I was running first. Well, no, I was running second. And my brother, he was like outside of he was outside of the track, obviously, but his friend was there, and he was in a chicken outfit. I know that sounds crazy, but it's
In a
perfect.
chicken outfit.
Yeah, it was during Halloween. He was in a chicken outfit. So I ended up getting loose, and I did like a 360, did a donut. And about that time, I ended up getting hit by somebody, and my car flipped over. Well, it started leaking fuel all over. So ended up that thing went up in flames, and my brother takes off running across the track because the paramedics and stuff, they know how to get me out and everything, and I could pull myself out pretty far. But I was not as strong as what I am now. But so it's my brother and his buddy and in the chicken outfit. They're running across the track, and so like the fire goes out and everything. But I would say that's probably one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me with catching on fire. But I mean, the video. There's a video too somewhere on Facebook where he's running in the chicken outfit across the racetrack, and they're like recording it. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it was good. But that was probably my scariest. But I did have one where my brother, I was running first, Garrett was running second, and he ran around on the right hand side of me. He was going around the outside of me, and so his left front tire ended up hitting my right rear, and he launched off of my right rear, and he did like 6 flips, and that was pretty crazy. And he's lucky that he didn't get really, really hurt, honestly. But yeah, that was another one of them. I mean, we've had a lot of crazy incidents happen. I mean, but it's all part of racing.
That's awesome. So he walked away. He was good.
Yeah, all he did is he's like, the car was completely trashed, and he's like, dude, the top was so fast tonight. I'm like, dude, your car's trashed, man. And he did have, dude. Garrett he's tore up a lot of race cars, but I mean, he's good, but either he's gonna go for it or he'll just tear everything up. I mean, that's the way that he is. He's balls to the wall.
That's right. It's the skinny pedal on the right, and hit it as hard as you can.
Yeah, he's went basically frame up into the wall. I mean, he's had. I mean, there's stuff where you just kind of like, how did this dude even walk away from that? But I mean, he had one where the wing ended up falling off. They took the wing off, and he was running a wing car, so the car was set up not even for non-wing at all. And so he goes and dives into turn 1, and about that time it hikes up off the left rear, and it starts getting on just 2 wheels. And then about that time it takes him straight into the wall, and he goes head first right into the wall. And he's lucky that he didn't really get hurt off that one. But yeah, he's had some crazy crashes.
So who's the better driver, you or Garrett, aka Evil Knievel Jr.?
I mean, I'm more smooth, I would say. I'll be honest. Like, I don't go for the lead like on the first lap. Garrett, he wants to get to the lead and just check out away from everyone. And I mean, he has more experience than I do, especially with the bigger cars. I would say the micros. I was very dominant for a long time, but I'm after not running those it's been 5 years, and now this year we're running a lot of the mini sprint stuff, the micros. I would say he's probably better. I mean, he's got a really good car, got a good engine package too with Yoshimura, and we got another car just this past week, so I'm gonna be curious. We're gonna put that on the track this weekend to see how that car is with me and kind of go from there. But I would say Garrett's probably with the 360, 410 stuff. He's got more experience, so I give him the benefit of the doubt there. But I would say the micros, I'm pretty good in those. So
fair enough.
Right.
So who's leading in the fan category?
Well, I would say I am. I don't know, but I just like to take time, talk to everybody, And Garrett, he kind of sticks to himself. He's very quiet, and I've always been the one that's very outgoing, talking to everybody, wanting to meet and greet with everybody. So I think I've built more of an audience than he has. Just like I said, I mean, it's really, you just meet people, and that's what life's all about. You got to meet as many people as you can. I mean, you might meet some bad ones, but you know what? There's more good ones out there than bad.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So what are your plans when we get back to normal? You've got your mission that you're on. what else do you plan to do when we get back to normal, or quote unquote normal?
I just want to build the brand. I want to build. We really want to we want to do not just Eric Saunders Racing. We want to do Saunders Racing and build that brand, and get the opportunity. We got enough cars now. I mean, we got 4 sprint cars and we got 3 micros now, and we want to give these younger kids opportunities. So we want to build the Saunders Racing brand, and get younger kids to really, kids that wouldn't ever be able to get the opportunity. We want to get them to run sprint cars, run micros, whatever they want to do, because those kids might never ever get that opportunity. And you know what? It's all about the future of the sport. If there's no future of the sport, there's no more, racing at all. And that's, not everyone can afford it. You look at all these engines, they're $50,000, $60,000. Who can really afford that? So I say that we got to keep the younger generation, the youth, keep them motivated, keep them involved. And I think that's the number one thing right now, just to help, keep the motorsports deal alive, and giving those kids opportunity like that. So that's what we really want to focus on and try to do. But again, I mean, I've got all these other projects too that I'm working on too. So we'll just see where it goes. I mean, hopefully it gets back normal as soon as possible. But yeah, this is pretty crazy times right now.
How old are you now, Eric?
I'm 27.
Man, young guy. So,
yes.
You've got a lot of good years ahead of you to accomplish those goals that you've got. That's awesome, man. It's also really cool to talk to a young man that has his head on his shoulders, and a plan. That's a rarity today. I'm thinking that has something to do with your dad too, though.
I'll be honest though, my dad and I, we've never talked business. We have never ever talked business. Ever since I moved to Louisville, and I met with, her name's Sandy Winkler. I met with her, and she basically kind of gave me an opportunity. I was a team manager for Ty Lube Honda, which is a supercross team with Buddy Brooks, and I just was like, you know what, this ain't. I want a career. I don't want to just, to me that's not a career. I mean, to some people it is, but to me it was not a career that I was wanting to do. And Sandy's like, you know what, come to work with me and let's make something happen. I was like, all right, that's great. And I learned so much from her. And the one thing that she always told me, she said, talk less, listen more. And 190%, I promise you, the youth do not want to listen to mentors, but that's how they have to learn. They're so egotistic where they want to think that they know everything. That's not the way that this world works. I mean, you don't know everything. I mean, there's somebody that always knows way, way more than you do. And I think she's definitely inspired me and motivated me to, step outside my comfort zone, not be scared to fail, not be, there's so many things that we've done. I've got to do amazing things in just the last year, but yeah, my father and I, like I said, we never really talked business. And then he sees me now and he's like, wow, okay, maybe you're legit now. So, and I think it's made us become a lot closer, because now he knows that, all right, we can talk business. So I enjoy that now.
Jesse's probably wishing he had never talked business with me. Something about working with, father and son working together, especially if your son's hard-headed,
Right. That's fun.
He'll watch this and he'll appreciate that. I'm certain of it. So,
absolutely.
It's Eric Saunders Racing. Are you guys on social media?
Yeah, we have Saunders Racing on Facebook, and then we have Eric Saunders Racing on Facebook. We have Saunders Racing on Instagram. I mean, if you go to just Facebook, I mean, that's what a lot of people use. You can go to all of our other social media through Facebook. So
okay, and so they'll all be interlinked. So if they find Saunders Racing, they'll find you,
yep.
and vice versa.
Correct.
Excellent. So Eric, I really am grateful that you took the time to to talk with us. It was really great getting to know you. I look forward to having you come back, and checking in on you and seeing where you're at with the goals and what kind of progress you're making and that kind of thing. If you'd give us the opportunity.
Absolutely. I appreciate your guys' time. I mean, it's awesome. And that's the thing that I always say is you got to talk. I think people, they don't talk enough about their personal life, like what's going on in their lives. And I think that's why we are so disconnected as individuals. I think that's, the podcast and everything that people are doing nowadays, I think that's so good. But I think people get stuck where they want to kind of hear, they're so interested in everybody else's life and they're not really interested in their own life. And they forget that, they have a life, they can build it, and that's my one thing that I always tell people. You build your own life, don't try to live somebody else's life. Build your own life. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great advice. Well, Eric, thank you, and we'll be seeing you again soon, I promise.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you again soon in the Cutting Edge Garage.